Hey everyone, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time in your day to join us for this 60-minute webinar. I'm Sanjay Kidambi. I lead the business at Qualtrics for a solution that's focused on IT. It's about empowering IT to deliver great technology experiences. I'm clearly passionate about this subject, so I was looking forward, and it's great to be able to spend this time to share with you my expertise, my learning in this space. Along with my fellow speakers, we're really going to give our perspective and provide you some answers for three key questions. Question number one is, does experience management matter in the IT domain? We know it matters in customer experience. We know it matters in employee HR use cases, but does it matter in IT? So we'll share some details and our perspective on what the answers to that are. The second question is, why did ServiceNow choose Qualtrics to deliver this value to you, its IT customer base? And then the third question is, what are the specific capabilities that you're going to get when you utilize this product integration between ServiceNow and Qualtrics? And also understand, how are some of your peers, other IT organizations, already taking advantage of this integration to derive business value and to really improve their technology experiences. So before we dive in, and start sharing with you and bring this to life with a demo, with stories from customers, as well as some insightful market research, let me also invite and introduce our two other fellow professionals in this area whose work on a daily basis is actually shaping this domain. So Andy and Matt, love for you to intro to this group.
Thanks, Sanjay. Hey, everyone. My name's Andy Creer. I'm a product manager here on the ITSM product, and I look after our IT optimization products, including workforce management engagement, vendor management, service management with digital portfolio, and as well as process optimization capabilities. And so, with the focus on optimizing IT across the board, obviously understanding service experience, understanding employee experience was really critical for us to be able to deliver on some of these outcomes. And when we had the opportunity to work with the best experience management company in the business, hey, well, of course we jumped at it, and we're really excited to show you today, the outcome and the output of all the hard work we've been doing, and showing how we're really breaking down silos and delivering an end-to-end experience, not just from the technical perspective of planning, building, and running your services, but are you truly delivering the outcomes from an experience perspective that you're driving for? So again, really excited to dig in here, and happy to be working with Sanjay. And Matthew, why don't you take it?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Bergen. I am our Global Solution Strategy Lead for our Employee Technology Experience line of business, partnering closely with Sanjay on the Qualtrics side as we bring this to market. And likewise, we are absolutely privileged and thrilled to be able to partner with ServiceNow, right? Obviously, in this space or this community, ServiceNow is the global leader in workflow management, workflow orchestration. And to have the opportunity to expand both of our solutions and dive into the whole end-to-end experience with IT organizations is just thrilling for us. And this is such a, like you, Andy, this is such a cool space. It's just fun to be in, and there are new challenges and problems and opportunities that are occurring every day. And to be part of that, and part of what we'll share today, how organizations are transforming and changing their business and rethinking business models is really what gets me excited about this space. And I couldn't be happier to partner with any other vendor out there than ServiceNow. So really happy to be here and look forward to speaking with you. Sanjay, back to you.
Yeah, so let's kick this off, right? So with the first question that we had, does experience management matter in IT? So look, one of the benefits of joining this webinar is we've taken the time to really look at all the research out there to bring to you what we think are the three most insightful data points for you to think about in this space. And as you think about how much you invest and how you go about it. So data point number one, right? And insight number one that comes from research data is that in today's hybrid world, employee engagement is deeply connected to their employees' technology experience. If you ask employees across the world, and if you look at employees who say that the technology that they have available for their work and who say that that technology is enabling their productivity, they have 85% higher intent to stay in their organizations for beyond 3 years. And a 230% more engagement that they self-report versus employees who say that the technology that's available to them for their work does not enable their productivity. Look, as I was discussing this data with IO psychologists, experts we've got in Qualtrics, and we do expect, right, that we will see a positive correlation on these employee engagement metrics. But what is rare is to see this level of lift in metrics around intention to stay and engagement. But if you really reflect on this, right, ask yourself, it makes a lot of sense that we're seeing this type of impact, right? For one, think about how crucial technology has become and how pervasive technology is for us to be productive on a day-to-day basis at what we do. Like what we're doing right now would not be possible without a lot of technologies seamlessly coming together. The second thing is for us to think about as IT professionals is it points to the power of actually listening, understanding, and acting on employee experience gaps. So some good data point to noodle on. Second one, the other big insight is that while technology experiences make or break productivity and collaboration, currently they fall short on employee expectations. And worse still, employees don't feel heard. Two really powerful data that I saw from two different research reports. Look at the one on the right from PricewaterhouseCoopers, right? That is what we call the experience gap. You've got 90% of IT leaders saying that their company pays attention to employee needs when they're introducing a new technology. But only half of the employees are reporting that they feel the same way. And this experience gap is very pervasive across organizations around the globe. So it's both a challenge, but you also can think of this as an opportunity because look at what happens. Look at the data on the left, right? When you don't address the gap, you get this sort of results where 7 out of 10 employees say that there is room for improvement when it comes to their IT experiences, right? So think about this. It's both a challenge, but it's also a fantastic opportunity for IT to lead their company and provide this as a value and as a market differentiation in the space they operate in. The third insight and data that I want to leave you here with is when we did a research this summer, and this is part of the Experience Management Institute at Qualtrics, and again, a global study focused on IT leaders. What came out is that IT leaders are starting to recognize the importance of employee technology experience, right? And look at the numbers, right? 90% saying that they see experience management as an important capability for their organization in the future, as well as the role of experience management in their own professional success. All right, so let me pull in Andy and Matt. Like, I'm interested. You guys have spent a lot of time in this domain. Andy, let's start with you. As you think about the challenge and opportunity for IT here, what do you find most interesting?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Sanjay. I think it's very interesting because we're in IT, we're in tech, right? And we love techie things and getting into the details and getting into the data and how systems are working and how systems are architected. But it's easy for us to forget what that end user experience is like. So no matter how cool an architecture is or how great a database is, if the end user isn't experiencing that service in a way that's going to be beneficial to them or live up to their expectations, it's a failure, no matter what. And so I think it's really important for IT to start looking at the whole picture, looking at the entire service experience design and understanding how are they going to measure that service experience across the board, not just from that end user experience, but also how it's performing, making sure those two things are working in harmony. right? So you've seen in the last few years a real emphasis for IT to basically move out of the base, and you've seen that happen because IT has become much more prevalent and important in the organization. But in doing that, also realizing, hey, IT is touching every single employee's day, throughout the day, all day, and so it's critical that we change our perspective and look across the board at how everyone's experiencing and making sure that we're living up to those expectations that employees have when they come in with amazing consumer grade experiences, and then maybe enterprise software experiences that aren't living up to that expectation. Just like you were saying, that 90% to 53% gap. I mean, hey, when you're having those amazing experiences outside of work, you kind of want them in at work as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Matt, I'd like to pull you in here and share, a favorite anecdote or a story you have on this space. And also I'm looking at the poll results, and there's a good chunk of people who are familiar, heard of Qualtrics, but don't really know about the capabilities and product value. So it'd be good if you can also share and introduce sort of Qualtrics and its mission and product portfolio to this audience.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. So it's interesting, kind of backing into what Andy was talking about. There's been a very interesting but very real shift that has occurred in the past decade, right? If you look at IT leaders 10 years ago, the main focus was on accessibility, uptimes, are my applications live? And of course, I've got to make sure I don't have any data breaches, right? That was kind of the main focus. Over the past 5 years or so, there's been this kind of fundamental switch with IT leaders, where more and more IT leaders are having to answer questions. How is the experience of my employees? How do they experience technology? Is it helping them to be productive and engaged? Or is it throwing up roadblocks? In fact, it was really interesting. I was talking to a large SI a couple of weeks ago, and they told me, they said, you know what, 10 years ago, every contract we contracted with SLA, service level agreements, all the support we do, all SLA based. He said, now every contract I have sitting on my desk has XLAs, or experience level agreements. Clients are asking for more. They're saying, you know what, no longer is it just enough to say that you met a metric or a timeline. For example, I closed all of the tickets within a day. But now customers are saying, hey, not only do you need to do that, but you need to ensure that experience in closing it in a day is a good experience. It's a positive metric, and it's a good experience for our employees as you're interacting with them. So that switch has been really, really, really interesting. Now, from the poll, again, most of you or many of you are familiar with Qualtrics. You're very familiar, or have at least heard of Qualtrics. So I'll just real quick kind of provide how Qualtrics kind of views the market and what we do. So Qualtrics started 20 years ago. It's very typical garage story startup software. And we really started utilizing technology, specifically surveys and analytics, to help with research processes, specifically focused in higher ed. Now, about 20 years later, we've grown to 13,000 customers, excuse me. We've grown our scope, but our mission has actually narrowed. Our mission within Qualtrics is one thing, and that's to build technology that closes experience gaps. So, I'd say a little more plain talk is, we're really here to identify and eliminate crappy experiences. And we've all had crappy experiences, right? We've had crappy experiences as customers. We've had crappy experiences as employees. And we believe at Qualtrics that experience management is critical to every aspect of a business. And our goal is to make experience management core to how organizations operate. We really feel that experience management is an essential function, just like finance or office solutions or CRM or HR solutions. Experience management becomes part of that core platform. And if you think about, where does experience management sit in an organization? The answer really is everywhere, right? Customers develop their brand vision and brand promise. That brand promise is delivered through their products and services, shaped and built by their employees, which they then take to market and give through a customer experience. And then those customers come back and say, yes, you did fulfill your brand promise. You did what you said you were going to do, and you lived up to the expectation, or you didn't. And customers or organizations that get that right, they're golden, right? They survive, they do well. Customers that don't get that right, customers that can't deliver, Those are the ones that don't make it. And we truly believe that for organizations to realize the full potential of this, they need to take experience management as a practice and take a unified view, because we start to get really powerful insights when we combine this data and look at cross-sectional data of kind of different experience management touch points. For example, how does the technology and tools that I deliver to my employees impact my outcomes on my customer experience? And it's interesting because we're seeing a big trend in the market that's kind of backing this up. And we see intersectional groups working together. So if you think about it, for the past few decades, this experience management piece, kind of that green quadrant there, 100% owned by the CHRO, right? And it was delivered through things like your annual engagement surveys or onboarding surveys and exit surveys. In the past few years, because the digital workplace has really elevated the importance of the tools and technology, it's no longer just, hey, my career opportunities or the interactions that I have on a day-to-day basis with my manager that's driving my engagement. But now it's my technology, which is completely owned by the CIO, that has an equally important factor on my engagement at work. So what we're seeing is CIOs, CHROs, CMOs, chief customer leads, all working together to say, hey, how do the things that I do over here help impact the outcomes on this side? For example, we know, as Sanjay mentioned, we know that when I deliver good technology, when my technology experience as an employee exceeds my expectations, it doesn't just impact my productivity for the organization or my profitability for the organization. It actually impacts how engaged I am with the organization. It impacts how much I'm willing to advocate on behalf of my organization, or even my intent to stay. If I have a good tech experience, I'm more likely to remain with the organization than leave for an organization that doesn't have as good of a technology experience. So that's really Qualtrics. That's how we view experience management. That's how we bring it to market. And I know today we're focused specifically on kind of the digital landscape and how it ties to that. But when we think broader, kind of our vision, that's what we're looking at, is bringing all of these together in a holistic approach and holistic discipline.
Yeah, that's great, Matt. Thanks for that intro. And Andy, I want to toss it to you and sort of hear your perspective from the ServiceNow side. You guys, obviously ServiceNow is a much loved product in the IT industry. You had lots of partners willing to be part of the ServiceNow ecosystem. So as you looked at the landscape, what was about Qualtrics, or why did you think about investing in this partnership?
Yeah, I think, going back to what Matthew was saying, the change that we've seen in the last decade, and especially the last 5 years of experience just becoming so important, and seeing a partner like Qualtrics who is doing such a great job in this space, it was just a natural fit for us to plug in there and utilize our platform of platform architecture to be able to trigger events in Qualtrics or pull Qualtrics data back into ServiceNow experiences, and really, again, marry those metrics, marry that experience data with operational data to be able to make informed decisions going forward. I mean, going back to again, Matthew, your point of having poor experiences disengages employees, disengages people from doing the best job that they can do. And so while we're constantly trying to improve metrics like mean time to resolve or first call resolution or meeting all of our SLAs, well, guess what? It's a lot easier for employees to do those things when they're using engaging experiences, or when the employees are engaged to respond and get back to them and work with them on solutions. So, looking at the Qualtrics partnership, there's so much in the space that you guys are doing that we are, connected to, but we don't have a lot of experience in that space. And so it just was a natural fit for us to leverage a lot of the amazing work that you guys have been doing on that side of the house and tie it into our platform to bring that data together in one single place.
Cool. Yeah, thank you both. I mean, I hope, for the group, this helps set the context. We wanted to take time because the experience management is well understood in certain circles and still, a newer concept, I think, in IT. So we wanted to take the time to sort of really set the context and help you understand and build a more holistic view on what experience management is and what the opportunities are. So, we've sort of looked at, why experience management matters in IT. We discussed about, why ServiceNow decided to make this investment in this partnership and with Qualtrics to bring this value to you. Let's pivot a bit, right? And let's look at the other question. Like one of the things is I'm sure you're keen to know, what are the specific capabilities that you actually get with this product integration, Qualtrics and ServiceNow coming together, and how other customers are taking advantage. So Matt, I'd love for you to kick us off on that one. Folks, disclaimer, we wanted to show you a demo, and so we're going to invoke the gods, and hopefully, we have no tech glitches, but we're really excited to actually show this demo with you. So bear with us.
Awesome. Yeah, there's always risk associated with going into live demo in this type of scenario. But let me go ahead and share my screen. So folks, the reality is, right, if we look at ServiceNow and Qualtrics, ServiceNow is absolutely the worldwide leader in workflow management, workflow orchestration, kind of that platform leader. Qualtrics is absolutely the undisputed leader in experience management. And when we were able to pull both solutions, both technologies, and both organizations together, you truly got a synergistic relationship where 1 + 1 no longer equaled 2, but 1 + 1 equaled 3. So let me walk through what this kind of looks like for our customers. We've just got a quick kind of slide presentation or a demo on what this looks like. And then I'll talk about a couple customer stories of organizations that are already doing this today and some of the value they're getting out of the application. So before I start, let me confirm, Sanjay, you can see my screen?
All good. The gods are smiling.
Great. Well, keep your fingers crossed, right? Well, keep your fingers crossed. All right. So the example I want to show today is really kind of based on tying together ServiceNow data and Qualtrics data to provide kind of a holistic picture of how technology leaders might use this in their organization. So what we're going to look at is an organization that has just recently rolled out a new knowledge portal, right? They're trying to provide information to employees to give them a place to come that's centralized, that provides information on the organization, the company, and the organization really wants to understand how well it's doing. Are we performing the way we want to perform, right? So coming to the knowledge database tool, obviously, when we think about operational data, the type of data that's delivered by ServiceNow, ticket data, volume data, organizations can quickly assess things like, what are the top areas of challenges that a portal like this might have? Where are they seeing issues? And you'll see on the right-hand side, kind of the critical priorities which need attention, where the organization needs to focus, especially critical things like outages and things like that. But IT leaders are really starting to understand that prioritizing my IT actions simply based on operational data is really only giving me half the picture. And there might be some underlying things that I need to focus on. So with Qualtrics and ServiceNow, we have a pre-built, delivered out of the box integration that ties the two solutions together. We have the ability to embed Qualtrics experiential data directly into the operational data. So we're looking side by side. So with Qualtrics, organizations can really easily figure out what type of information they want to collect from employees, right? We can collect we have fully customizable surveys, we have pre-delivered content, but these can be built and then delivered in any manner that the organization sees fit, whether it's through email or it's through Messenger or through mobile or through web intercepts. We can collect feedback and experience data from employees at any point in time. In addition to being able to collect it, we now have the ability to tie this directly into the ServiceNow experience. So while I'm in ServiceNow, I have a tab that pulls up my experience data and shares that experience data side by side with my operational data. So in this case, we can see trends over time, what's happening with the ease of completing tasks within the knowledge portal. We still see the operational data, which is giving us truly the full picture. And as we dive into this, we're actually pulling in critical elements. What you're looking at right now is this is our text IQ engine. So this is essentially employees that are providing open text feedback about where they're having problems or challenges, right? A question about what do we need to improve or what do we need to focus on? You can see Qualtrics actually takes this data, runs it through an AI engine, and it breaks it out, providing key topics, sentiment, and analysis on what people are talking about, right? So no longer, it's not reading through hundreds and hundreds of comments or thousands of comments to try and figure out kind of what the trends are. We're building them for you. So here you can quickly see that people are talking about the mobile user experience. They're talking about app functionality. The colors that you see in this bubble chart represent how they're speaking about it or the sentiment, right? Red is negative, blue is positive. So mobile experience and app functionality are both kind of not being talked about a lot and not being talked about really well. We can, of course, drill into these to see the specific comments that people are talking about. In this scenario, the mobile maybe is cumbersome. It's not providing the experience. It's not fully mobile enabled. So we're essentially just rendering a website on a mobile device. But having this type of data allows organizations to understand where we need to target investments, right? Not only are the applications working, but are they working and providing the experience we want? In addition to things like text analysis, we also provide things like key driver IQ. What you're looking at now is a driver IQ chart. And this is essentially breaking down the correlation of things that are getting rated badly and the impact they're having on the organization. Now, why this matters to people, why this matters to all the folks in IT, with Driver IQ, we give you the ability to understand what levers you can pull that are going to have the biggest impact or return on investment, right? Unfortunately, all of us that are in this space, there's limited budgets, limited time, limited money. We want to make sure whatever we're investing in or wherever we're putting our time is going to have the greatest return or greatest impact. And that's exactly what this provides you, is it's showing, saying, hey, if we look at all the feedback that's coming in, all the experiential data that's coming in, if you focus on these things, here's where you're going to hit and have the greatest impact in the organization. Now, from here, we're still connected to ServiceNow. So we know that we have an issue with mobile. We know we have an issue with some of the applications. Directly from here, I can create an improvement initiative within ServiceNow. I can launch an initiative to improve the mobile experience, create the experience so it's completely mobile enabled, tying the two systems together. And then, of course, I continue to manage it. I continue to listen and continue to improve that experience. So I just went through a lot. Andy, I want to give you a chance. Anything from kind of the ServiceNow perspective that you would add to that overview?
No, absolutely. And I know we've got a lot of tech folks here on the call, so I want to call out a couple of things that were really cool about that demo. One, if you haven't seen the new digital portfolio management product, check that out. There's a lot of materials and a lot of demos out there that you can look at. But essentially, that brings together everything that a solution owner would need to see how their solutions are performing from a technical perspective, right? How's my availability? How many people are subscribed? How many incidents are coming in? Do I have changes? And I can see that across the entire life cycle. But then again, the beauty there is that's built on UI Builder. And with Qualtrics' new app, you can pull Qualtrics widgets and Qualtrics dashboards into ServiceNow workspaces with a simple configuration. You don't need to go customize the entire integration. You simply put a string of the ID of the dashboard you want into that widget, and it just automatically appears. So that is super powerful and really easy to not customize, but configure using UI Builder and using out-of-the-box flows that we have in digital portfolio management. So I just want to pause there and talk about how easy it is to kind of get that up and running with the products that are coming out of the box from us and those integrations that are already pre-built with Qualtrics. Now, the beauty again of digital portfolio management is lifecycle management. I can see plan, build, run, and all the risk info that I have against any services or offerings or applications that are in my CMDB. Now, what are we missing? We're missing that experience, right? And you might be saying, hey, well, we have CSAT scores already. Like, I don't know, we already do that. Yeah, but what Matthew showed there is, okay, cool, we can get that CSAT or the service satisfaction score, but now we can do full analysis. We can ask people what they're thinking, and without having to go through and read every single line of every single response, use that amazing text analysis that Qualtrics gives, and then put that, not on another dashboard that your solution has to go find somewhere, put it right in the flow of their work so that then they can take action within ServiceNow, within the workflow engine, and go and correct those things, and then go back and measure it and see, are they actually getting the outcomes that they're driving for based on the changes that they're making throughout their solution. So, just a really powerful story of bringing these two things together, not just from a data perspective, not just from an integration perspective, but from an experience perspective for those solution owners as well. So just kind of wanted to call that out. And if anybody has any questions around, wait, what the heck is all that? A workspace, a UI builder, a Qualtrics widget, like what are you talking about? Put that in the Q&A. I would love to kind of dig into any of those questions if you have them. But yeah, just really powerful integration there using the latest UI stack, the latest experience stack from ServiceNow, and all of the brilliant text analysis and dashboarding capabilities that Qualtrics brings.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think we're very mindful that we are throwing a lot at you, but that's the thing with the format. We have 60 minutes and there's a lot. So we are going to come back to some of these a couple of times just to sort of make sure that you're hearing it from a few different angles, and it starts to sort of really crystallize in your mind in terms of what the value is. So so bear with us. So here's the next thing. So let's sort of we talked about experience management. We talked about these specific capabilities. Hopefully the demo gave you a really visual way of thinking about how these two solutions come together. Let us now look at this from use cases and scenarios perspectives, right? We already, the beauty about this is that there was a real market need. And so we've seen very encouraging, promising market traction already, even though it's a relatively new solution to market. We have a lot of leading IT teams and organizations adopting this and getting advantage and realizing value. So what we thought would be helpful is for you to think about, where is this being used? What scenarios, what use cases? So you can start to get inspiration and also think about how this can apply in your own. So, Matt, let me turn it to you. And I know you've been in plenty of these conversations. So if you can pick and choose a few, we're doing great in time. So I think there's a real opportunity. We'd love to hear your stories on these.
Yeah, awesome. And to your point, Sanjay, where the rubber meets the road, for lack of a better analogy, right, is when we start talking about how are clients actually using this, or what are they seeing today. So I've got a couple of client stories that I can share that kind of demonstrate how this is being adopted today. And I've got some visuals, Sanjay, when you get a second to pull those up as well. But I'll share one real quick. We were working with a large aerospace and defense company, right? And like many organizations, one of their big challenges is, well, like all organizations, right? They want to provide a great experience, especially with their internal support and services. This was the IT internal support help desk. And they said, for us, it's super important to deliver a great experience in that IT support help desk. But we also want to move more and more people to self-service. We want to be able to have and provide the tools that they're really effective and impactful in addressing the issues themselves. So while we do post-transaction feedback, right? I submit a ticket, I work with an agent, I get feedback. This organization actually said, look, we're going to do that and we want that experience to be good, but we're actually going to do pre-transaction feedback. We want to, as soon as somebody submits a ticket or when somebody's on our help site, we want to get feedback about what's working and what's not. So within their internal help portal, they put a digital intercept. And then when somebody created a ticket, as soon as that ticket was created, they'd get a request for feedback that said, hey, help us better understand what we could have provided so that you could have resolved this issue yourself. So employees, those that were responding, would provide open text feedback and say, hey, here's what I was looking for. I wasn't able to find it, created a ticket. Utilizing Qualtrics, they were able to analyze all that data, both the open text and the quantitative data. And ultimately, they were able to make improvements to their knowledge database and their self-help tools. And they said for them, that has had the greatest impact in driving employees to self-service, is understanding when an employee goes to search for something, how they can organize it, how they can lay out information or provide information so it's easy to find and easy to take action on them. So that was a really kind of cool story about one organization that kind of shifted the standard process. What you're seeing on the screen is actually another really, really cool one that I love. So this is Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, right, if you think about education, the whole goal of education is to teach, expand minds, all of that, right? And education has changed drastically in the past couple of years, or the past 2 decades, right? Where 20 years ago, our main tool for media was chalkboards. If you were really high tech, you'd have an overhead projector with the plastic screenshots you'd stick on the page. And the only thing that ever went wrong with those is occasionally the bulb would burn out, right? And you'd have to buy a new bulb. Well, we now live in a completely digital world where entire classrooms are digitized, right? We're presenting both in person as well as remote to hybrid courses. Everything is presented through screens and monitors and interactive tools to engage with students. And Notre Dame, one of the challenges that they were having is, folks, I actually, as a part-time gig, I'm actually an adjunct teacher here, so I feel this very, very, very real, right? If those tools aren't working, it creates a really poor experience, both for the educators as well as for the students. But the team at Notre Dame that supports all of this technology in the thousands and thousands of classrooms is pretty limited, right? So ensuring that somebody actually reports an issue with a projector or a screen or something like that, and then scheduling it, getting somebody out there to fix it was really, really challenging. In fact, I've been in classrooms, and you probably all have too, where we go to the classroom, something's broken, and we just assume somebody will fix it. And you go to that room again, and it's still broken. And you go again, and it's still broken, right? Notre Dame was trying to fix that issue. They wanted to provide and ensure that the tools and tech that were in the classroom were top-notch, that were always working. So what they did is they actually utilized Qualtrics and ServiceNow to automate the experience, the classroom technology experience, right? As opposed to just relying on instructors or faculty and staff to report issues, they actually enlisted the help of the students. And students essentially had a QR code. If anything was broken in the classroom, if there were any issues, there was QR codes and direct links where students could just scan a QR code and say, hey, our projector in our classroom is broken, it had a bad experience. That feedback from Qualtrics automatically creates a ticket in ServiceNow, which goes to the IT support help desk team. They now are not waiting weeks to find out something's broken and then having to go fix it. They know immediately, because this student body that they've enlisted is quickly, and the student body that loves to be on their phones and report information, they're reporting immediately. For the IT staff at Notre Dame, they said changing this has saved them about 3,000 IT staff hours, because no longer does IT staff have to go into every classroom and check and make sure everything's working. When issues arise, they're being notified through Qualtrics, tickets are getting created through ServiceNow, and then of course they can close the loop on the back end with the experience management piece of Qualtrics to understand, did we deliver and did we do what we wanted to do? So really kind of a cool use of bringing Qualtrics and ServiceNow together. Andy, anything you want to add to that? I've got another story to share, but I wonder if you wanted to add anything in what we've talked about so far.
I just love this story because instead of giving the students kind of saying, I have an issue, report an issue, you can instead say, how was your experience in class? And instead of kind of put the onus like, oh, I have to go report this negative thing. Now you're actually just kind of querying the entire student body population on how things went. And instead of maybe just hearing about the bad things, you can hear about the good things as well. And it opens it up from being less about, oh, something's wrong all the time, to where now, hey, I can actually admit something that was great. It also opens up things that a faculty member may not have ever seen as a problem, but a student is experiencing as a problem. And that's something, again, that no one would have ever known unless that student was able to actually have an easy way to go and report that. And then again, that closed loop, right, to make sure, hey, did we solve the problem? That's so important. And utilizing each platform and each capability to do what it's great at and come together seamlessly. It's just really cool for Notre Dame to be able to pull all that together and drive this out.
Yeah. And Andy, you bring up a really important point, right? And I think that's part of the power of Qualtrics and ServiceNow together, is this idea of closing the loop, right? For years, we've looked at research and research on experience management feedback. The reality is people want a voice. Everyone wants a voice. People are happy to express opinions, ideas, and feelings, challenges, what's working and what's not. What happens though is that when we don't close the loop, when we don't take action on that, people stop providing feedback. In fact, the research tells you that if you're not going to provide action or not take action on what you're hearing, that you're better not to collect the feedback or the experience in the first place. And that's why this tie becomes so powerful, right? We can collect that information and then use the closed service capabilities or closed loop capabilities between Qualtrics and ServiceNow to make sure action's being taken. And guess what, folks? When you take action, when you get the feedback, when you take action, people give you more feedback. And that's a loop that just continues to provide really valuable data that separates the leaders from the laggards.
All right, let's look at another one. What else you got, Matt?
Yeah, we can talk about the other one real quick, right? So the other one is really not just about taking action, but about taking action in real time. So if you think about how we typically work, and Sanjay, if you want to move to the next visualization, right? How we typically work in kind of an IT frontline environment where we're interacting with either our IT help desk or our HR help desk. It's not uncommon for us to trigger surveys at the end of an interaction to say, hey, how was your experience? Was it good? Was it bad? That data comes back. We've got a CSAT score. And oftentimes, agents, the individual agents, either don't ever see those results, or they see them kind of on an aggregate collated basis, right? Where after a period of month, we're sending feedback and saying, hey, here's your scores, here's your CSAT score, here's what people are telling you is good and bad, right? One of the things that we can do to help drive frontline effectiveness is create in the moment, real-time feedback to provide service coaching. So the example that you're seeing on the screen here, is imagine an IT service technician closes a ServiceNow ticket. And this typically would happen. We immediately trigger a survey to the employee to provide feedback. Now, with Qualtrics, we have some tools within our XM directory to help determine who we get feedback from, when we get feedback. Are there different levels of priority based on prior experiences and how we've interacted? But we get that feedback. The employee maybe didn't have a great experience. Either they didn't feel the knowledge was there, they didn't feel the experiences were, or their issue just didn't get resolved in the manner they want. Based on that feedback, both, again, the quantitative feedback or even the open text feedback, if we detect that there was an issue with the service, we immediately can trigger an alert to help coach that individual agent. So as opposed to waiting for a month after the event occurred to trigger or to help coach and develop that ServiceNow agent, we have the ability to do it in real time. As soon as that transaction or that feedback comes in, we can go and sit down with the agent and say, hey, you just had an interaction. Do you remember what it was? And they're like, yeah, of course. I just hung up the call 5 minutes ago. Great. Let me tell you what we can do to help improve this, to help change the experience going forward. And in real time, we can help drive the behaviors that we're wanting to see out of those agents. So again, making this not only bringing together experiential data and operational data, but making it real time so that when things occur, we can immediately take action and drive those experiences. So that's kind of the other one that's been really interesting that we've seen organizations starting to utilize more effectively. It's just, again, it's the operational, the closed loop, bringing them together so that organizations can react real time rather than, being a laggard.
Yeah, and this is so cool, Matt, because we're breaking down silos, right? Like you said, there's some report somewhere that somebody's looking at that says we're not doing a good job. But then you have all the folks who are actually doing the work and they never get that feedback. And maybe by the time they do, it's too late, right? The solution, it's not a problem anymore, or they don't remember what happened. And you can't coach somebody on something that happened a month ago. Now, while 5 minutes after it happened might be a little aggressive, even a couple of days, being able to go back and say, hey, let's take a look at some of the things that happened this week. This is enabling that conversation to have between a manager and an agent about real work that's happening and growing skills and growing capabilities so that now the agent feels like, they're not being so closely monitored, but there's real opportunities to grow and learn new things. And a lot of this, while some of it, the first place you might go to is like, oh, bad customer service, right? No empathy, those kinds of things. Really what this boils down to more often than not is that the agent maybe just didn't know how to solve a particular problem. they didn't have the quickest route to unlock someone's account, or they couldn't answer the question that somebody has. And those are great opportunities for us to tie into, again, a lot of these workflows like workforce optimization, coaching with learning, integrations with third-party learning systems that are already built on the platform to say, hey, notice you kind of had trouble with some of the SharePoint issue. Guess what? We have some training we can assign you on this. And then set targets for that agent to do better next time. And by getting this person this detailed feedback information and closing that loop, not only providing a better end user experience all in all, but also providing a better agent experience so they feel like they're growing, they have that skill growth and those opportunities to learn. And it's not, again, disconnected from, hey, you did a bad job. Okay, can you tell me why? Can you give me some better feedback? And so again, just breaking down those silos, making it a much more human experience for the end users, the agents, the managers that manage those teams, and at the end of the day, providing better service at the enterprise level.
Yeah. Awesome. And Andy, I love the idea of breaking down silos. And I want to click into one other thing that you mentioned, right? We've talked a lot about how in this scenario, right, an agent interacting with an end user. Well, we can use the same technology to interact directly with our agents. To your point, maybe the agent didn't know where to find information, or maybe the agent has to access 8, 10, 12, 15 tools to try and get an answer. So we can use the same technology to help understand the agent experience and say, how do we help you be a better agent? How do we change tools and technologies and processes to make your job easier? So it goes really, really broad, but to your point, I think the key is it's breaking down the silos. To be able to seamlessly connect systems like ServiceNow and Qualtrics is what helps to break down those silos and create a single thread around how do we just operate better as an organization. So it was a really awesome call out. I just wanted to make sure that we brought it up on the call because I think it is so critical that, again, we think broader than what our traditional methods used to deliver.
Yeah, we say here a lot of times, CSAT equals CSAT, right? The more engaged and happy and more skin in the game your employees have, the better, service they're going to provide to the end users or even customers, right? So it's all, when you break down those silos, you're, making everything better across the board. So.
Yeah. And as you guys say this, like I'm, I was thinking about what makes our jobs fun in some ways is when we see customers, right? Whether it's IT or HR or the end users, like deriving value from the technology that we are, putting all this effort into. And, when you talk about breaking values and the power of technology, I'm actually reminded of the customer use case that was an inspiration for us as we thought about this partnership and, building this integration together. And this was with, Standard Chartered in Asia Pac, where as they were going through the pandemic, a disruption that no one was ready for, and they had to now deal with this challenge about how do you engage and listen to this dispersed global workforce and understand what their expectations are from a hybrid work model. And then how do you then enable that model, in terms of, because being a bank, it's also about having the right working contracts and arrangements in place. And it was a very powerful story because what they did is they were users of ServiceNow, and Standard Chartered was also users of Qualtrics. And they used these two technologies in conjunction, using Qualtrics to listen and understand and make employees choose, which of the three options they want to opt into, work models. And then they use ServiceNow to automate all of those working arrangements and contracts that need to then come through to make this possible. And so to me, that's always been one of my favorite examples. Like, I know it's an inspiration, we discussed as we thought about the power of this partnership and how we put this together. So folks, I hope, you're getting a lot of good ideas and inspiration as you think about how you apply this. We want to, it is still a lot of things to consume. And so we do want to share with you one other, and Andy, I want to pull you in here and talk about, let's get down into the brass tacks here. And before that, let's take a quick poll, right? So as you've been hearing this, we also want to hear from you. What, as you think about your overall priorities for your IT team, how important is employee technology initiatives for you? So let's hear from you. Oh, awesome. Great to see the answers come in. Look, we are Qualtrics, and ServiceNow, we are all about IT, and we're all about learning what you guys are up to. So we do get these survey results, that we do through structured feedback and surveys, but it's fantastic to actually see these come through here. That's awesome.
I'm really happy to see that nobody is selecting that it's not a priority, right? Yeah. Everybody realizes just how much time companies are devoting on it. It varies a little bit, but everybody realizes that this is important. That's reassuring.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right. Before we're coming up on time, and the key part for us is to make sure you have a granular understanding of what are the capabilities that, you get with this integration. Clearly, ServiceNow has native, in the platform, some of the survey capabilities. So I think it's important for you to understand what is the value add from this product integration with Qualtrics and ServiceNow. So Andy, it'd be great to hear from your perspective how you think about this value add.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's understandable if you're thinking, hey, we have surveys in ServiceNow, like why would we need this, right? And I think you've probably seen today a lot of reasons why there's a lot of value add here, but just to go kind of line by line through here, we have surveys embedded into a lot of our workflows. CSAT is one of them, right? But we also have things like assessments that might be built into other products like project assessments or risk assessments, right? So those engines are using those capabilities for specific product uses. And those are still great for using the survey engine and the assessment engine within the platform. The CSAT is a great way to get started collecting CSAT as well. But as you probably know, because we've talked to a lot of customers around collecting CSAT with our out-of-the-box survey, you get a score, but you can't really take a lot of action on that. And it's hard to understand what's behind that score. And so that's really where, again, this opportunity with bringing in Qualtrics to do more analysis against that score and understand what people are actually saying brings a huge value add to really understanding the experience. And that comes from a lot of Qualtrics experience around, working with psychologists, having the Accent Institute. You heard here, Matthew's an adjunct professor himself, right? So they put a lot of thought into how these questions are built. They put a lot of thought into how you're asking them, how you're wording them, and they work with you to really make them super, super effective, right? And that's their strength. So there's going to be things there that, ServiceNow, well, we're the workflow company and tying everything together in the platform of platforms. We're really looking to get that next level of experience data. Qualtrics has got your back there. AI-powered text analytics, those are things that Qualtrics does that, ServiceNow does against ticket data, but not necessarily geared for doing that against experience data, right? So you can kind of go through and see some of the things, again, are possible. You can trigger different actions and filter surveys different ways, but some of that requires scripting and requires somebody with some ServiceNow engineering knowledge to go in and actually flesh that out and build it out on the platform, whereas they happen out of the box with Qualtrics. So again, we're seeing a really great opportunity to partner here and fill a gap that a lot of our customers are having between their technology management and their experience management, and putting that together in a seamless integration with a great partner like Qualtrics is kind of a no-brainer. So I know I didn't go line by line necessarily because I know we're running out of time, but if anybody has any questions on any of these, feel free to reach out. And I'll leave it at that.
Sounds good, Andy. And we're right up against time. So, folks, first of all, I want to say thank you to Andy and Matt, and all of you actually for making this time, spending this time with us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing this to you. And we look forward to, your questions, your engagement. Here are resources for you. All you have to do is just do a web search for ServiceNow and Qualtrics partnership, and you're going to see, a landing page. And, please reach out through your account reps. I'll be happy to come over and share and demo this and discuss this in much more detail. And so hopefully this inspired you, and you can take some of this knowledge and share it with the rest of your organization. So with that, I want to say thank you, and have a great day, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.